It was 2018 and I started to lose control over my life. It was becoming a huge mess, and so I turned to self-help YouTube, but it actually ended up making my life a lot worse. It wasn't that self-improvement itself was bad, but the way I approached it was so unhealthy that it led me to a complete burnout. So I went from being super driven in high school into a health issue into university, majoring in something that wasn't exactly my top choice. Things were still relatively fine, I was getting used to it and was building things up until I started to lose steam. I started to struggle a lot in keeping myself motivated and productive. I was hoping that I could find advice in the self-help section of the internet and that would help me be productive again. There was a lot of content about finding the right habits and all these hard and fast rules you could follow that would lead you to discipline and to becoming a better person and living a better life. I tried these things out, but they would never last. For example, I tried to incorporate the 2-day rule where you're allowed to take off as many days as you want as long as it's not 2 days in a row. The core of this rule is completely fine and it makes perfect sense how it would get someone that's not very consistent into a better, more disciplined rhythm. But for some reason, my mind would just focus on trying to not break the rule instead of focusing on how the rule was going to help me become more consistent. So I felt like I was being forcefully pushed by the rule and I had to face all the resistance head on instead of feeling like the rule was pulling me through all the resistance. And that's when things started going south. I was already coming into this with a negative view of myself, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, an ego determined on low self-esteem, so whenever I wouldn't reach a goal, or I fell short of maintaining a certain habit, or if I failed to abide by a certain rule, I'd feel like a complete failure. Especially in comparison to all these people that were able to follow through and they had flourishing lives. So the one thing that was standing between me and a better life, I couldn't do. I thought, if I couldn't even learn how to be disciplined, how was I going to learn how to be productive? How was I going to live a life that measured to anything? At this point, I was feeling very unfulfilled and super lost. For months, I couldn't work on any of my passion projects. I'd sit down and a tsunami of negative thoughts would crash into me, and I was so weighed down by it that I started avoiding it completely. I felt incapable, I was scared of what my life was turning out to be. I destroyed a lot of opportunities, I sabotaged a lot of what I had built, and everything felt lethargic. I was just blaming myself over and over again for being a failure. I was lacking so much on the inside that I kept looking outwards for something that could glue together the broken pieces of my life. I kept thinking I just needed to find the right solution and my life would go back to being productive. I just had to try harder. Eventually, I realized that maybe forcefully trying to apply what worked for others just wasn't going to work for me. Maybe these hard and fast rules don't work for everyone. Maybe I'm just not disciplined enough to even learn how to be disciplined, but I'll find something else that works. And it all started with a question one day when I was so sick and tired of doing nothing but wasting my time. Why do I find it so hard to do something that I want to do? I realized I lost my way throughout the years. I was following what I thought was my path, but it had been ages since I really questioned how I wanted to live my life. What did I want my time to consist of? What did I want my life to be? I knew I wanted to be more productive, be successful with the things I loved, give back to the world, but I didn't know how to get there. Answering these questions helped me realize that I was focusing too hard on the goal. And Scott Adams describes this mindset very well. Goal-oriented people exist in a state of continuous pre-success failure at best and permanent failure at worst if things never work out. I had to completely flip the way I'd been viewing my life and the way I was viewing self-help. I had to really question the things I believed to be true about myself and with what I thought I had wanted. Going through this, I realized that what a lot of self-help advice lacks is you. Cold showers and waking up at 5 a.m. every day might work for some people, but it doesn't align with everyone. And that's not to say that you shouldn't try it out at least, even if you feel an instant refusal towards the idea at first. You never know what might work for you. But if you try it out and it doesn't feel good, it doesn't mean you lack discipline or you don't have what it takes to become a better person. It's just not how you want to become the person you want to be. And I think all self-help is good. And I'm glad there's a lot of people that are sharing the way they found successes because it's also bound to work for someone else. But what's the alternative? What if you've tried to do all these things but you keep failing? Maybe you can keep trying to adopt certain lifestyle changes, but maybe you can also create a guide or a system that works for you because it was created from you. When I look back on how I was able to get out of the lowest part of my life, I had somehow created a system that feels true to me, that feels aligned with myself, and a system that energizes me so much that it can push through with pure willpower. And I know it sounds kind of fake. I somehow went from lacking the discipline to be productive for 20 minutes to someone that can work for 8 hours. And honestly, looking at my past few months, I cannot believe how much happier I am. I wasn't lazy because I lacked discipline. It wasn't that I wasn't productive because I didn't know how to be or lacked the will. These weren't the causes of what felt like my shitty life. They were just the symptoms of a directionless and unhappy one. I'm thankful to all my previous failures or attempts. I wouldn't have been able to get to this point without having had the previous information as stepping stones to get to where I am today. It took about 6 years, but I made it through the other end of the burnout, and I feel very ready to face whatever is to come. And I couldn't have gotten here without the help of so many people, so I wanted to start sharing my journey in case someone else also felt like they were in the same place I was. And that leads to what I call the happiness compass. It's the system that pulled me out from feeling like a failure for not being able to brute force my way through becoming productive. This system, along with a lot of the tiny steps that allowed me to create the magnetic needle, is how I'm able to move forward and go towards a life that I want and towards being a person that I've always dreamt to be. There are 3 main components of the compass. 1, energy, 2, talent, skills, or gifts, and 3, direction. And each part overlaps with each other a little bit because the core of it all is tied together by the logic that your life might feel like a mess because you've lost sight of yourself. And that inherently feels like the opposite of feeling happy. And when you're unhappy, all these symptoms start to show up. Symptoms such as being lazy, lack of productivity, losing joy in what you're doing, and just an overall vast sense of feeling lost. When you feel that way, unhappy, directionless, lost, you will not have the energy to tackle the demons in your head or environment. And when you are happy, you'll feel like you have lots more energy, and because of that, you're capable of fighting the things that are trying to put you down. So if we adjust the logic that discipline will lead to a better life and happiness to happiness will lead to discipline and a better life, you basically have what I call the happiness compass. Doing things that you like or are easy to you will bring you energy, and you will find ways to maintain that energy by using the energy you first gained to do things that will bring you even more energy. And that will help you go towards the direction that you want to go, which relates back to the things that you like to do or are easy for you. I found this to be a very positive cycle, and doing parts of it makes you feel like every action is contributing to the overall system, which prevents you from feeling like you have to get through certain steps first in order to participate in the flow of things. You arrive at a system of becoming better, but it will also lead you to the destination of being better. This contrasts how I was viewing a lot of self-help advice before. Waking up at 5 in the morning or taking cold showers every day might have helped build consistency and discipline in my overall routine, but those actions themselves weren't directly the actions that I wanted to improve. I wanted to gain consistency of working on my passion projects, and there was just a disconnect there between taking daily cold showers and being able to work on my projects more consistently without facing all the dread that came with it. The best part about the compass system is that it will all stem from you. It's catered to you, it's customized, and that will ease the hurdles of trying to force something that might work for others but just doesn't for you. And that's it. I wanted to share the system that finalized a positive mindset for me, and I'll be going into each part more in depth in other videos. But yeah, that's kind of my journey, and I don't know if this compass is going to rust and it will stop working for me in the future, but it's exactly what I needed now to feel ready to face my days today. And I really hope that some parts of this video resonated with you and that you didn't click on it for nothing. If you made it this far, an extra thank you to you for watching the video this long, and I hope to catch you on the next one.